like for one, I ran into these Chinese people once before, and it's a very interesting experience. Um, except I always had the means of getting out, right? Because they wanted to say, oh, Americans are this far. They're like they're like Americans are like this far in the debt or whatever with us, and well, what it is that you could say at any point or whatever is, completely unrelatable to what it is that they have even debt with us for. And I'm like, so what? Do you think that because you control these people, you can control us? And then they're like, well, at this point, yes, that's how we want to feel. And then they're like, on top of that, you're only this anyway. And I'm like, I'm only that, huh? Well, the thing is, once I said, hey, well, the thing is, what can you prove how it is that we as people are over here? And then they had a bullshit excuse for that. That's all I remember. Oh, we sent out ships in every direction, and we told them to only assimilate into the societies that they would have found. But the thing is, they still can't actually put their fucking finger on it. So that's why I pissed them off, because they didn't like me at that point. They knew I wasn't something they could just easily control. And that pissed them off. And that's just one memory I remember. I think the memory that comes up to that is like this Chinese guy I met who's going around learning indigenous culture and language, and people didn't like him because he was trying to say everyone was Chinese. Just because there was one word that just somehow sounded like it. Like the Zuni Japanese connection, like there is something that could be there. But the thing is, it doesn't mean they're the same people. But with how this fucker was going at it, I kid you not, it's like, oh yeah, you have CH and at a certain point you use at a certain point with how it is that you speak, so it definitely means you're Chinese. Like, what? Like, oh yeah, the sun sets down sometimes under the same sky that this fucker over here has, so obviously I must know him. I must know him. But when you confront them about that shit, they act like, they're not responsible for it. They act like they don't even know what shit is. So that's how I remember these fuckers be. There's a lot of them like that out there, by the way. And they're not the only ones who are even thinking like that. See, there are plenty of people who come over here to this place. Okay, to this fucking place. And they try to learn everything about indigenous culture so they can say it's only their culture. They can't just go in and look at it like, huh, this is something new. Hey, look at this. We don't have this over here. We don't have this. We don't believe in this. Wow, that's great. That's amazing. There are people over here who believe outside of what we do. They can't do that. I don't know why they can't do that, but they go ahead and do their fucking thing anyway. What was it, recently found all those Hebrew artifacts or whatever that were supposedly on the East Coast. Then they were trying to make a big deal out of it, saying that fucking East Coast tribes people were just lost fucking tribes of Israel and shit. And then they predated it, or not predated, fucking they looked at it even more. I forgot what study it was, but it was all over this fucking History Channel shit for a while too. And I'm like, oh yes, of course. Anything that's spearheading against indigenous identity fucking is the one thing that can make a fucking History Channel. But I found out it was a fake. And the people who were trying to do it were just trying to get land and shit. They planted it there and made it seem like it was very old. Why? Because of the crystal formations within it and shit that didn't make sense to the places that they say it would have even came from. So, it's just one memory. As of right now, I can't say that, they're really not the only people who have tried that type of technique with us to try to, how you say, mask indigenous identity with someone else's identity altogether. But it's definitely out there. The more and more you find it, what was it? The other one was, oh yeah, the Viking ruins or whatever in Minnesota, and it was like underneath a fucking lake or whatever, but it's like that was even proven to like only be at a certain point. Because then anthropology for a while was saying we're only 3,000 years old, being the ice bridge or whatever they try to link it back to. And that's been disproven over and over again, but it was already used to like employ like fucking federal Indian policy and shit, to where people are already looking in one direction and fucking the people subjected to it have no other choice. So yeah, definitely, it gets to a point of conflict, you know, like that's why it's hard for me to read this stuff anymore. Cause it's just like, it just feels like people are trying to rape my mind. Like they're trying to have their way with my mind, in many different ways, trying to make me think in a certain way without ever questioning what it is that they say is a cold-hearted truth. Like the one thing I do remember was the pitfall in fucking Texas, West Texas. It was like a pitfall. Ancient animals and shit fell down in there just from being dumbass animals, right? And fucking, at the bottom of that pit, they found fucking evidence of people being down there. Which is crazy because there are plenty of cultures out there that say, for a fact that at a certain point they came from underground. They came from a point where they were underground living. And then, it only gets crazier from there because, there are many factors and things like that. But, that was one of the other things that predated 12,000 years that they tried to say, because it was more like 100,000 years. And then, what did they try to say Africa is known for? It's like 100,000 years. Well, then that's probably pushed back if they want to say that it's all superiority or some bullshit by now, to understand that we're all from one place and our culture and history doesn't matter anymore. So, for me, it's all resources. These little fuckers, they're getting away with it right in front of your eyes, you know? So that's why it's funny to me. You don't have to be funny to you. You can fucking live however the fuck you want. But, for me, like, I got shit to do. I got places to be. I got fucking things to do. So, and then, what was it? There have been many conspiracies at the same time made over indigenous identity and culture. They're trying to say that fucking we were a stowaway or something that just fucking ran loose because a lot of us look white now or whatever, and they don't take in the fact that we're not fucking xenophobic, racist pieces of shit like they are to want to be with someone outside of our own tribe. So it's like they're just kind of like factoring in all these dumbass factors to make it seem like we're just like a bunch of fucking liars getting lost in the woods or something. So yeah, it definitely comes down to like things that are even withheld within the military, fucking elite kind of like mentality on shit. Because like a lot of people within the military, right, they know they appropriate indigenous culture, otherwise they wouldn't be able to fucking fight the way they do by now. But the thing is, there are some people who get into the military who only want grandeur and shit. So then they start, you hear their bullshit out there, and it's just literally like, oh well, indigenous American Indian people, right? They were only ever militant because of American military intervention, and it's proven by so and so and this and that, and look at me, and now I'm right. That's pretty much all it fucking amounts to. Like you try to get any more information from them, they'll be like, oh well, that came from a book or something. That came from some place where it's already seen as being number one thing. Are you fucking kidding me, man? These people have kids and shit? That's gross, man. Probably held them down or some shit. Like, for real. Like, morbidly fucking scary. But then the thing is, that's not the only other time indigenous identity and culture have been fucking encroached upon. Let's see, what other fucking conspiracies? Oh yeah, they always try to spearhead everything against quote-unquote horse warrior culture. They try to say that, well, because horse warrior culture is seen like as a very spiritual aspect in a lot of indigenous nations, then obviously their culture had only existed all the way up until the horses had came. And then it's so asinine that it fucking convinces a lot of these racist white people to just believe it so they can just throw off. And because they always have these like excuses to just like write something off instantly. It's kind of like how a lazy person would. But I mean, that's another time I've seen indigenous culture and identity being fucking spearheaded against. Uh, let's see, what other time? If I can, oh, then they try to go after all the animals and shit. They try to make it seem like the animals only make sense to where it is they're from or something, just because they know that birds migrate. But then they try to make it apply to like land animals who have like fucking adapted and shit here for thousands of years. So it's like, yeah, they don't fucking know what the fuck they're talking about. They just try to make convenient fucking excuses for their bullshit, for their shortcomings. Like someone saying, oh yeah, no, I can't do that because I'm too awesome or something, you know? Like fucking, they just want to write it off, like, oh yeah, but it's in my favor. It's always only ever in my favor to tell you that I can't do something or tell you something that's even the truth when I'm presenting shit that involves it directly even. They're just fucking bullshitters. That's all they fucking are. Reminds me of these fucking Spanish fucktards over here. Fucking, they act like they're not native and they're pureblood Spaniard, but fuck no. If they inbred it with themselves, they wouldn't have gotten as far as they did. So a lot of them actually are indigenous. They just try to push it off like, oh, I'm purebred. Fucking pure Spanish and shit. Bullshit, motherfucker. Why are you brown like that if you fucking say you're Spanish, motherfucker? Tell me that. But oh no, purebred Spanish and somehow Spanish ancestral roots are always brown and shit. That they fucking do that shit all the fucking time. It's so asinine. It just makes you want to fucking like it makes you feel like you're crawling in your own fucking skin. It makes like your skin itself at a certain point is like your limit or something. Like you want to even get out of there. But the thing is, there's so much of that shit. There's just too much of that fucking shit. Like, I don't know if, fucking, I can even be taken seriously on a lot of this shit, because I know it's, kind of outrageous, but unless you're a person directly being affected by it, unless you're being directly affected, like me, you don't give a shit. You're out there doing it. You're being told to be all you can be and shit. And then on top of the fact that you're just ignoring what it is that you're even there with. You can't, that's how fucked up shit is right now. Like, okay, yeah, no, sure. Let me give you an example. If I were like a mad scientist, right? Fucking, and I needed my creations or whatever to be able to fucking be all those things I can't even limit it to, right? Fucking, I tell them to go, to tell them that they have freedom, you know? Tell them to fucking, that they have every ability to be literally all they can be. Because I need the research afterwards to prove what it is that I'd even be held accountable for if I were ever taken to court. Because as of right now, that's not the only things I've fucking seen in my life spearheaded against indigenous culture and identity. Like, I'm just like an open fucking flame right now in the middle of nowhere because no one's gonna even hear this shit until like maybe even something happens to me. But the thing is, it's out there, and it won't just involve us as people either. This thing that you think I am, this breedable fucking thing. So it'll just grow. It'll grow until one day, however it happens, fucking shit'll just get too big, and then it'll fucking collapse on itself. Either destroying everything else with it, because there are things like suicide cults that have happened where they want to take themselves out with everyone, or it's just something that'll happen one day because they wise up at the last minute and decide not to fucking kill themselves, only to enjoy whatever leisure they'll have left at any point, to the point where it stops. So, reason why I'm saying this shit is because, I know that shit's out there. Like, oh yeah, the fucking Mongoloid concept. Fucking, that was spearheaded for a while. Like, I went to college in, Durango, and I had to go to the grocery store, and I had this sign on me. Like, I'd probably get it down for you, but it has, like a Prince of India, and then, a chief, Chief Red Cloud, and it has, like, their, like, attire, how it is that they look and appear, like, even as individuals. And it was different. Like, it's completely different. Like, Red Cloud has a headdress, and he has all the markings and stuff on his band and stuff, and he's doing that. The prince had, obviously what was controversial for people at the time to understand is that he also had that the third eye thing, which is, I guess, only something that women could have or something in that culture. But what do I know? 'Cause I don't know anything about those people, really. So, uh, fucking I went down there and I had this sign on because I'm like, I want to wake these fucking rich people up. There's so much money in Durango, like, fucking for real. There's so much money in Durango. It's ridiculous money, but fucking I went down there and I went to the store, and then there was just like this white lady that came up to me. She's just like, and she looked at my sign. She stopped there and then she looked at me and she pointed her finger like she's like angry or something. And then she's just like, "Those are mongoloids. That's all. Those are mongoloids. Don't you understand that?" I'm like, "No, I don't understand that. Could you please explain it to me?" Then she's like, "Yeah, that's the three race rule. You should know that. You should know that. If you're there with that, you should." I'm just like, who is this fucking lady? Like, oh my god. Like, she's yelling at me, even, like, trying to tell me something that somehow I should already know. I don't know what the fuck a mongoloid is because I had to look it up. A mongoloid apparently is a convenient excuse for everyone else to be considered quote unquote Asian. Indian culture, fucking, I hear a lot of like Middle Eastern culture, and fucking, however they have these grouping terms. But a lot of people are supposed to be under this mongoloid theme at one point in time. And then the Americans live by it. They fucking were born and bred on it. Literally, they were born and bred knowing that people were mongoloids. So, it became something that manifested because, again, eugenics were something at the time, too. People were concerned about, oh, I need to only have this kind of nose. I need to only have these kind of eyebrows with this kind of face or this kind of thing, and I need the size of this kind of genital on my thing. Well, you know what happened? A lot of people were allowed to come here uh, back in those days, and they learned a lot about how the Americans treated that problem, and they took it back to where they're from. A lot of people took it to many different places. One obvious example that's on my mind right now is the Nazis, the people who were literally birthed into fucking living that kind of mindset and that kind of way of living. They became that thing. And it was only because over here, when everyone else was too busy fucking each other, fucking, we were being hunted down like animals by all those people they'd send over here even, to do it. Criminals, whoever. They just didn't like whatever it is that this is to you. Right now, that is, being quote unquote American Indian. So, uh, it got so crazy. Like people were literally forced to be experimented on while they're still alive and shit. And it didn't just happen to slaves either. It happened to pretty much everyone else. Whether you were too poor or too red, too black, too whatever, you were just in the way. And they had you. They preyed upon that. It's not like they convinced you like they do these days, right? To give yourself away. No, it was more like, we got you now, and this is what you're gonna be. That's how they were. That's why to this day, a lot of shit don't make sense. I mean, it all appeals to that kind of mindset, like elitism or classism or all that shit. Is because back in those days, literally what made you into to what you'd even be to understand even this. Why? I mean, unless you were born outside of the states, you know, you're not concerned with it. But if you're born here, you're already using institutions that were put there at one point in time through that understanding. And now, guess what? Yeah, they're under different influence and everything. Some of them are even being used for good, legitimate reasons, but that's how crazy it is. So, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with none of this shit. Because for me, that just literally means there's a whole giant big ass world out there who can't agree with something at a certain point. And that is, I exist here without what it is that they can say controls me. That I exist outside of what they fucking know. That I'm uncontrollable. You see? So that's why I take these Americans very seriously when they tell me they believe in freedom. Freedoms of expression, speech, just your ability to be there. Like innocent to anyone's bullshit. I take it seriously. Because I gotta be like, wow, you guys really think that? After you already see me as breeding material? Wow, Reminds me of some other shit that I've seen before. Where, I even made a post about it. Fucking patriarchal bullshit. Where they pretend to be women in order to fucking say, or to oppress women even. So, I mean, like, I'm used to that mindset already. It's not anything new. It's fucking just dumb, but it's not anything new. Be done in many different ways. It doesn't even have to be specifically in that way either. So, we'll see how far this goes. Um, as far as like masking indigenous culture and identity, I'm pretty sure everyone has their own pick, whatever right now. People are still believing that we're all Maya and shit over here. Even indigenous people are still trying to take on that fucking thing when in reality their culture belief doesn't even look like it. It's like, of all things, you think their origin stories might happen to look the same, you know? But a lot of them don't. They don't. That's why for us, Kiowa is kind of weird. Because we're being told we came out of a giant owl's nest. And here, fucking, that's where the Mayan connection actually would kind of make sense, but it doesn't. Because we're not the same people. I mean, we went everywhere, did shit, but we're not the same. I mean, there's a point where we've been alienated even, but still, we are our own people. So, that's where, there's a lot of crazy shit out there. And whether it's just specifically targeting one tribe, or all of them all at once, it's out there. So what does that mean for someone who don't have to be concerned with it? Well, just know it's like leaving a cup out with food in it. Like when it's there, it served its purpose. But if you're leaving it out, it'll grow, it'll become weird looking, have like little holes and shit in it. It's because it used to be liquid and shit, and now it's all fucked up looking. And eventually it turns into like a spore or something that fucking kills you because you left it out for so long. Or gives you some kind of disease. So the same concept applies with people. What could be seen as an enemy towards people, depending on its context too. I was told the definition of crazy is someone who can't keep to themselves by my people, and that makes sense. As in, like, they go up there and they need to touch everything you're touching, or touch what it is, or grab it out of what it is that you're holding or using, because they can't help themselves. Just like kind of like a rapist. They just go right in there and fucking do it. They can't keep to themselves. They have to depend on someone for that. So, I mean, that's just the best that they can do. But the thing is, when it comes to people, if there's a notion that there's someone's ability to just take from you by force out there, or that they can control you or tell you how to be, because there's no right way of doing anything, and it'll grow. It'll turn into a spore and just kill you. It don't have to make sense or nothing. It won't. A lot of times it won't. That's the thing. It won't make sense. It'll just be whatever the fuck, to whoever and their dumbass idea. So, that's why I take the word Indian very seriously, because I'm like, what the fuck you looking at? Like, is this the best you got? Like, And you're telling me I gotta be fearful of this? Like, shit, I ain't fucking scared. Fucking you're the fucker who's gonna find out, that's all. You're gonna be like, I can fly! I can fly off this fucking cliff! Look at me! And you'll be fucking naked. And then I'm gonna be like, you're not gonna fucking fly off that cliff, dude. You're gonna fucking fall and kill yourself. You're gonna fall and kill yourself, that's all. But I was that person to step out and be like, yeah, the word Indian's gonna fuck you up. The word Indian's really gonna fuck you up, dude. It's not even that you know it's wrong and you might be getting away with it in your own dumb bullshit little way. The fact is, it's someone else's idea and you're appealing to it. So you should know where that idea comes from and then go start sucking their dick and leave us the fuck alone. How about that? But you can't even do that. You gotta keep coming back for more or something. You couldn't get enough of whatever that what is, you know? It's not even a good thing. Really, it wasn't. Never was. Like, I've had consensual experiences before. That wasn't consensual. And it's understanding? Fuck no. That those people, they're not consensual about what they do. They just take. They know they can get away at a certain point because they make rules and shit. I don't even agree with them and their dumbass belief. That's all. I mean, nowadays people think, in America, it's gonna work out. Freedom, it's already done, already said, already done. Nope. It really isn't. How do I know this? Indians, that's why. That just means that they don't know who the fuck they're looking at. And they couldn't possibly know because to know is like to sit down with them in a peaceful way and not harm them. That's all. But if they're already saying, Indians, I already know. Yeah, I already know. Indians. Indians. And you expect me to take you seriously, sir? That's all I'm gonna say. You expect me to take seriously. It's like you're trying to show me how someone else likes their fucking leaves raked and you're getting really mad about it or something. And I'm just kind of being here just like, hey, okay. Whatever the fuck you say then. You want to obviously tell me you got violence involved too. So fuck you. Fuck you, you little bitch. As of right now, I've destroyed their livelihood for the future that they thought they could have. Like, you think fucking all the Nico cat girls and shit now are fucking lame. Where they're trying to do biological experimentation to make sexual fetishes and shit. It's like, bullshit. Like, I made up a story the other day. I'm like, what if that goes out of hand? And then that new satellite they have in the sky and shit just to, like, hypnotize all the fucking, biological mutagens that are let loose into the fucking environment thinking that it's going to be a sexual fetish. Then the one outcome they had, the one outcome just happens to be the only thing that could even find that facility to stop it. Now, you people are fucking dumb. Like, I'm not an Indian. I don't know who's telling you I'm a fucking Indian. Just please know, I don't give a shit. Um, they're gonna tell you all kinds of shit, like even the shit I said in here. Fucking, we're only the outcome of so and so or whatever, just so they can say they know us without knowing us. But I don't give a shit. And I haven't for years. Like, these fuckers, the only thing that they can try to say is, oh, I know how to be a bad one. So if you don't let me do what I want to do, I can just be bad. It's like, reminds me of the fucker who came from the city once and tried to talk to me about mannerisms and shit. How to be around people and shit. Fucking, the only thing you could say is like a very parasitic way of thinking, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't depend on anything that they can do themselves. It's just parasitic. That is, if you can be the loudest in the room, people will hear you. And that's supposed to be serious? You're supposed to take that seriously? Depending on someone? For your own fucking strengths? And you people have it all fucked up. You're just lucky I'm someone who won't take advantage of you because you do. I mean, obviously I could. Hey, free pussy, fucking money, this and that, right? I could even convince you to give it to me like you fuckers try to do to us. But, I'm not doing that. I mean, if you, fuck, I haven't even thought of it. Most I'm telling you is, hey, you're appealing to other people's ideas, so if you happen to get in the way, that's all it's gonna be, you're gonna find out, that's all. I won't have to give a shit then. You'll just end up being a Nazi and on the fucking bayonet of my fucking gun. Shoving it in you and shit. Making sure you can't breathe anymore and shit.